Hello YouTubes! Welcome back to James Recommends. Last week it looks like we did actually solve the sound issue. So this week I'm going to be focusing on making this a little bit shorter and trying to pad in some of the soundtrack from the game we're talking about rather than just the visuals, because this game has a phenomenal soundtrack. In fact, it's got great retro art, it's got a fantastic Lynchian world, it's got this really compelling narrative to it, and terrible gameplay and a ton of bugs. But we'll get to that in a minute. The game we're going to be talking about today is Two Brothers, not Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Next week, I will talk about Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, just to make things confusing. But this week, we're talking about Two Brothers. Alright, so, Two Brothers is this action-adventure game in the style of Zelda, made to be an 8-bit retro Gameboy demake. And the whole world is even in that glorious gray-green. Its color palettes are identical to the old Game Boy, the one with all the batteries. So, the interesting thing about this game is that that's actually part of the narrative. This world that you're entering, the story begins with a man who's lost his wife, and then he himself dies. And when he dies, he goes to an afterlife in just glorious color, right? And it's the first time he's ever seen such color. And he's told, it's not your time yet, and sent back to his world. But he becomes obsessed. He becomes obsessed with finding color, about understanding its origins and finding it within his world. And so this is a quest with him and his brother to go discover the origins and the nature of true color. And in doing so, we get this narrative that alternates between hilarious and disturbing and dark, and it's very well done. It talks about sort of the value of human life and the nature of obsession and questioning our understanding of our world. And so this is great, and to go with that, you've got this very strange, interesting world to go through. You've got some of the best pixel art I've seen in a long time. You've got a soundtrack that, I mean, hopefully you're hearing it right now. And so all this stuff is great. But this game suffers from some of the things that a fair number of indie games suffer from. It's very ambitious, and as I mentioned, it's a Zelda-like game. So, action RPG, but the combat is nowhere near as polished as what you've come to expect from Zelda. It's sluggish, it's unresponsive, and you'll find yourself slogging through dungeon after dungeon, just asking yourself, when are you going to let me understand more about this mystery? When am I going to get back to the story? This game is probably somewhere between 15 and 20 hours long, and it could get away with easily just being 10. And beyond that, it's rife with bugs. It's filled with all these sort of both game-breaking bugs and glitches, and sometimes glitches because of the nature of the narrative that you don't always realize are glitches. And so if this sort of thing frustrates you, this isn't the game for you, because I certainly have at times crashed and lost progress, got stuck on geometry, all these sort of things. Or I guess on lines rather than geometry, since there is no geometry in this case. If you can overlook all that, if you're the sort of person who plays games for the story and is looking for something weird and interesting and different and can stand the slog, then Two Brothers is for you. So yeah, this week, James recommends Two Brothers. See y'all next week.